Have you ever noticed something strange? Your mind can scroll social media for hours without getting tired. But when it comes to working on your goals, suddenly you feel tired, distracted, lazy. Why? Why is it easy to waste time but so hard to stay consistent? The truth is brutal. Most people don't fail because they are weak. They fail because they quit too early. Imagine a piece of iron. A man starts hitting it with a hammer. 1 strike, nothing happens. 2 strikes, still nothing. 10 strikes, 20 strikes, 50 strikes. The iron still doesn't break. Then suddenly, and on the 100th strike, the iron cracks. Now tell me something. Did the iron break because of the last strike, or because of the 99 strikes before it? Most people only notice the last strike. But the truth is, every strike mattered. Every strike weakened the iron. Every strike prepared the moment of breakthrough. Your life works exactly the same way. Every day you work. Every day you show up. Every day you try again. You are hitting the iron. Maybe nothing is happening yet. Maybe nobody notices. Maybe the results are invisible, but you are weakening the resistance. One day, the breakthrough will happen, and people will look at your success and say, "Wow, he did it so fast." But they didn't see the hundreds of invisible strikes. And this is the biggest secret of success. Consistency is the silent architect of greatness. Motivation comes and goes. Energy comes and goes. But consistency builds empires. So if you want to become dangerous, if you want to become unstoppable, you must learn how to stay consistent even when you don't feel like it. And in this video, I'm going to share 5 ruthless lessons that will make you dangerously consistent. These lessons are not soft. They are not motivational quotes. They are psychological principles that train your mind to act even when motivation disappears. But before we continue, if you want more content that strengthens your mindset, discipline, and mental power, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video. Because this channel is about one thing: building a mind that refuses to quit. Now let's start with the first lesson, and this one might change the way you see discipline forever. Lesson 1. Stop waiting for motivation. This is the first trap that destroys consistency. Most people believe something dangerous. They believe they must feel motivated before they take action, but motivation is unreliable. It is emotional. It is unstable. Some days you feel powerful. Some days you feel empty. If your actions depend on motivation, your progress will always be random. But disciplined people understand something different. They understand this rule: action comes before motivation, not after it. Think about the gym. Do you think athletes feel motivated every day? No. Some days they are tired. Some days they are stressed. Some days they don't want to train at all. But they still show up because they don't negotiate with their feelings. They follow a system. This is where most people lose. They negotiate with themselves. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start when I feel ready. I'll start when I have more energy. But tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And suddenly, years are gone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote something powerful. He said, "At dawn, when you struggle to get out of bed, remind yourself, I have work to do as a human being." In other words, you were not designed for comfort. You were designed for purpose. The problem is not laziness. The problem is that your brain loves comfort. Your brain wants safety. Your brain wants easy pleasure. That's why scrolling, watching videos, and procrastinating feels natural. But building something meaningful requires resistance, and resistance is where discipline is born. Let me tell you a psychological truth. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about survival and comfort. That means if you let your emotions control your actions, comfort will always win. But when you build a system, something powerful happens. Your actions become automatic. You don't ask yourself, Do I feel like doing this? Instead, you ask, is this what I do every day? This small shift changes everything. Consistency is not about strong emotions. Consistency is about removing the need for emotions. When action becomes routine, your brain stops resisting. And what once felt difficult becomes normal. This is how dangerous consistency is built. Not through motivation, but through non-negotiable habits. Because the moment you remove the option to quit, you become unstoppable. And this is only the first lesson. The next lesson is even more brutal, because it explains why most people stay busy but never make progress. And once you understand it, you will never waste your time the same way again. Lesson 2. Focus on systems, not results. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. The reason many people quit is not because they are incapable. It is because they are obsessed with results. They want success quickly. They want progress immediately. They want proof that their effort is working. And when that proof doesn't appear fast enough, they quit. Think about this. A person goes to the gym for 1 week. They look in the mirror. Nothing changed. So they stop. Another person starts studying a new skill. 1 month later, they are still not an expert. So they stop. A creator uploads 5 videos. No views, no audience. So they stop. But what these people fail to understand is something very important. Results are slow. Systems are powerful. Success does not come from random bursts of motivation. Success comes from repeatable systems. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people. Person A focuses only on the result. I want to lose 20 kilos. I want to make money. I want to be successful. But person B focuses on the system. I will train every day. I will improve my skill for 1 hour daily. I will post content consistently. At first, both people look the same. Nothing changes. But after 6 months, their lives are completely different. Because systems create momentum. Results are unpredictable, but systems are controllable. This is why high performers don't wake up every morning asking, will I succeed today? Instead, they ask, what system do I follow today? This removes pressure. This removes doubt, and it replaces chaos with structure. Psychologically, this is extremely powerful, because when you chase results, you feel frustrated. But when you follow systems, you feel progress, even if the results are not visible yet. Let me tell you another truth. The brain loves progress signals. Even small progress motivates the brain to continue. But if you only focus on results, you will feel like nothing is happening. And that kills motivation. That's why successful people track actions, not outcomes. Instead of saying, I must become successful, they say, I must complete today's work. Instead of saying, I must get 1 million views, they say, I must publish today. This small shift is the difference between people who quit and people who dominate. There is a powerful psychological concept called identity reinforcement. Every time you complete a system, your brain starts believing something. I am the kind of person who shows up. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. This identity slowly changes your behavior. You stop acting like someone who tries, and you start acting like someone who does. This is how consistency becomes dangerous, because once your identity changes, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need external pressure. Your system carries you forward. Think about it like a train. At first, pushing the train is extremely difficult. It feels impossible, but once the train starts moving, momentum takes over. Stopping the train becomes harder than continuing. Your system works the same way. First days are hard, the first weeks are uncomfortable, but if you stay consistent, momentum starts building, and suddenly, what once required discipline becomes automatic. But there is another hidden enemy that destroys consistency, and most people don't even realize it. It is called indecision. The more choices you give your brain, the weaker your discipline becomes. Lesson 3. Eliminate indecision. There is a silent enemy that destroys consistency. Most people never notice it. It's not laziness. It's not lack of talent. It's not even lack of motivation. It's indecision. Every time you sit and ask yourself, should I start today or tomorrow? Should I work now or later? Should I go to the gym or skip today? You are draining your mental energy. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. Your brain has a limited amount of energy for decisions every day, and the more small decisions you make, the weaker your discipline becomes. This is why most people fail at staying consistent. They keep negotiating with themselves every single day. They treat their goals like optional tasks. But highly disciplined people operate differently. They remove the option to debate. They decide once, and then they follow the rule. For example, a person who wakes up at 5 a.m. every day doesn't wake up and ask, do I feel like waking up today? The decision was already made. A person who trains every day doesn't ask, should I go to the gym? That decision was already made. This is the hidden psychology of consistency. When you eliminate repeated decisions, you eliminate mental friction. Let me give you a simple example. Think about brushing your teeth. You wake up every morning and debate, should I brush my teeth today? No, you just do it because it became automatic. It became a non-negotiable habit. Now imagine if your goals worked the same way. Lesson 4. Win even on your worst days. Most people believe consistency means performing at your best every day. They think being consistent means high energy, perfect focus, maximum productivity. That belief is dangerous, because no human being operates like that. There will be days when you feel powerful, days when everything flows easily. But there will also be days when everything feels heavy, days when your mind feels tired, days when even the smallest task feels difficult. And this is exactly where most people lose their consistency, not on normal days, but on bad days. When motivation disappears, they stop completely. They break the streak, and once the streak breaks, their brain starts creating excuses. Today was just a break. I'll restart tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week, and the system collapses. This is why highly consistent people follow a very powerful rule, a rule that protects their discipline even on terrible days. The rule is simple. Never allow 0 days. It doesn't matter how small the effort is, you must still show up, even if it's just one small step. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who runs every day. On a good day, they run 5 kilometers. On a normal day, they run 3 kilometers. But on their worst day, they still run 500 meters. Why? Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is continuity. Consistency is like fire. If you keep feeding it, even with small pieces of wood, it stays alive. But if you stop feeding it completely, the fire dies. Your habits work the same way. The moment you allow 0 days, your brain learns something dangerous. It learns that quitting is acceptable. But when you maintain the streak, even with the smallest effort, your brain learns something powerful. I never stop. This builds an identity stronger than motivation, because identity changes behavior permanently. You stop acting like someone who tries to be disciplined. You become someone who doesn't break the chain. There is also another psychological trick here. Small actions reduce resistance. When a task feels overwhelming, your brain avoids it. But when the task becomes tiny, your brain stops resisting. For example, instead of saying, I must study for 3 hours, you say, I will study for 10 minutes. Most of the time, once you start, you continue longer anyway. Starting is always the hardest part, but small actions make starting easier. And starting creates momentum. Momentum creates consistency, and consistency eventually creates success. Think of consistency like water dripping on stone. 1 drop does nothing, 10 drops do nothing, but thousands of drops over time They carve through solid rock. Not because the water is powerful, but because it is relentless. This is the mindset you must build. Relentless effort, not perfect effort. Because perfection is fragile, but persistence is unstoppable. However, there is still one final lesson, and this one is the most ruthless of them all, because it explains why some people stay consistent for years, while others quit after weeks. It has nothing to do with discipline, nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with environment. And once you understand this final lesson, you will realize why your surroundings can either destroy your discipline or make consistency effortless. Lesson 5. Control your environment. Most people think consistency is about willpower. They believe if they just try harder, push harder, force themselves more, they will become disciplined. But psychology tells us something very different. Your behavior is heavily controlled by your environment. In simple words, your surroundings shape your habits. Let me explain this with a simple example. If your phone is always next to you, social media will always be one tap away. And every time your brain feels bored, it will automatically choose the easiest dopamine, scrolling. But if the phone is in another room, suddenly the distraction becomes harder, and your brain starts focusing on the task in front of you. Same person, different environment, different behavior. This is why environment design is one of the most powerful tools for consistency. Disciplined people don't rely only on self-control. They design their surroundings in a way that supports their goals. For example, if someone wants to read more books, they keep books visible. On their desk, next to their bed, easy to access, but if the book is hidden in a drawer, the brain forgets about it. Environment silently controls attention, and attention controls action. Let's take another example. Imagine two people trying to stay productive. One person works in a quiet, organized room. No distractions, no noise, clear desk. The other person works in a messy room. Phone notifications, TV noise, people talking. Which person do you think will stay consistent longer? Exactly. Environment removes friction, and friction is what kills consistency. This is why successful people protect their environment carefully. They limit distractions. They remove temptations. They surround themselves with signals that remind them of their goals. Because every environment sends a message to your brain. Some environments say, relax, be comfortable, waste time. Other environments say, focus, work, improve. Your brain reacts to those signals automatically. That means if you want to become dangerously consistent, you must stop relying only on motivation. Instead, start building an environment that forces progress. Because when your environment supports your goals, discipline becomes easier and consistency becomes natural. Now think about everything we discussed in this video. Consistency is not magic. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is a combination of small psychological principles. Stop waiting for motivation. Focus on systems, not results. Eliminate indecision. Never allow 0 days. Control your environment. These 5 lessons can transform the way you approach discipline. But remember something important. Consistency does not look impressive in the beginning. It looks boring, repetitive, slow. Most people quit here, but the few who continue eventually reach a point where everything changes. One day, people look at their success and they say, wow, he got lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. It was the hundreds of invisible days of showing up, brick by brick, strike by strike, day by day. So if you truly want to become dangerous, don't focus on big moments. Focus on daily actions. Because greatness is not built in one powerful day. It is built in thousands of quiet ones. And if this video helped you understand the true power of consistency, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because here we are building something powerful. Not motivation, but mental discipline. And remember this, the people who win in life are not the most talented. They are simply the ones who refuse to stop showing up.